Survival Instinct is what I would call a real edge-of-your-seat thriller. It's about a young couple from London who are travelling up to the Midlands to attend a wedding. They're driving through the Peak District in Derbyshire, and as luck would have it, the car breaks down, they're in the middle of nowhere, they're in real trouble. And then things go from bad to worse when they encounter some locals who are up to no good in the same area. There's a fatal accident, all kinds of mayhem, and they end up running for their lives throughout the Peak District. Well, the film harks back to some of my favourite films, which are some well-known thrillers from the 70s. Films like Duel, which was Steven Spielberg's first film, and Deliverance, which is another well-known film by John Boorman. Those films had a real gritty realism. They were really filmed out there in the real locations, which I find a lot of modern films, they're shooting in a studio with a big green screen and it all looks very fake. Those older films, you really felt you were out there in those remote locations, so you felt the danger and the isolation, and that's what I wanted to capture. But it took me a long time to write the script, because what I didn't want to do was write one of those very conventional thrillers where there's just some crazy person that chases the hero for no real reason and it's just all very contrived. I wanted to make a very plausible situation where you, as the viewer, could feel like, yes, that could happen to me. And then as you're watching it, you're thinking, what would I do in that situation? Because they're kind of plausible situations. So that was really important. It's very difficult to construct something that works as a thriller in the Hollywood style, but also is plausible and doesn't rely on a lot of cliches. I'm up in Derbyshire quite a lot because as a video producer I do quite a lot of work for Derbyshire Community Health Services, doing training films and communications work. So I'm driving all around North Derbyshire quite a lot, so up in the Peak, the Dales, and you always find yourself driving through some amazing landscapes while you're up there. So that was very much inspirational in terms of deciding to set the film up there. And because I could always imagine what would happen if you broke down up here, or if you were in trouble, if someone was chasing you, because there's just some great evocative views. So that was why Derbyshire became the basis of the story, and also because there's not a lot of stories set in the Midlands, and we're here in the Midlands, so why not? Because I knew it was going to be a fairly arduous shoot in terms of it's all out on locations, and we had a small crew and a small cast, what I ensured that I did was to plan the whole film absolutely meticulously. So that involved, once we'd written the script, basically storyboarding every single shot in the film. But it's just a way of visually scripting the whole film, so that when we go out on location, everything's laid out there on paper. It's just shot A, shot B, shot C, shot D, wrapped, let's go home. So there was no kind of messing about on locations. A lot of filmmakers, they turn up and then they go, where should we put the camera? Or where should we have people stand? You know what I mean? I didn't want any of that time being wasted. I just wanted to get out there, get out my storyboards and say, right, camera's here, people are there, action.
Fontaine Hall, in the heart of Derbyshire's spectacular Peak District, makes the ideal venue for your country wedding. Surrounded by 20 miles...
Skip down a bit.
Well, when I was writing the script, there were a number of roles who I already had people in mind for. So there's a guy called Jay Sutherland who I'd worked with on a number of short films and corporates and that sort of thing. And I wrote a part specifically for him. So I'd always said to him, one day I'm going to put you in a feature, because he was a good guy. The female lead was an interesting one, because I didn't have anyone in mind, but I did have a specific sort of appearance and type sort of in my imagination. And just happened, just as I was writing the script, I had an email from an actress who I had met very briefly years ago, and she'd obviously just gone through her address book and thought, who can I email to see if they can get me a job? And her appearance and her build and her look and everything was just exactly what I had in my head for the character. So it was just because she happened to email that one day, and I said, yeah, come on over, we'll give you an audition. And she was fantastic. So that's Helen Cravell. The lead bad guy is another interesting story. There's a guy called Andy Coughlin who's from Loughborough, and he'd never acted whatsoever before. He was not an actor at all, he's a businessman. But he had a passion for cinema, a passion for films, that he was looking to get involved in something. And when I met him, he just had such a unique look and voice and character about him. And I thought, here's a guy, I mean, he's a lovely guy, but he looks scary. And I thought, here's somebody who could really play a convincing, bad guy in a movie. So it took a bit of a chance because he'd never really acted before, and I think he gave an amazing performance, and I wish he was acting full time because he could make a living at it. He's brilliant.
And if you get this wrong this time, what happened to Jeff will look like a picnic compared with what I do to you. You got it!
Well, I've been making films literally since I was a child, and it took a long time for the technology to become available. that someone like me could go out and make a film. Because when you're not part of the traditional film industry infrastructure, which really we aren't here in Leicester, there's not a lot of infrastructure around. But fortunately nowadays, pretty much anybody can grab a camera and it's affordable and can go out and make something that looks really good. And so that's what we've done with Survival Instinct. The cameras are there, it doesn't take a huge crew, and you can make something that gets released in cinemas, which is amazing.